here been given a second chance by our Lord? Anybody? Third chance? Fourth chance? Well, that's what we just did. Sometimes it just happens. And I'm kind of glad that we're not stiff about it. Let's just stop. It's okay. It's like whatever. But this next song, to me, encompasses everything that we're here to talk about today. And it's just simply a song called Jesus. And it's all about Him. Here is a truth older than the ages. There is a promise of things yet to come. There is one born for our salvation, Jesus. There is a light that overwhelms the darkness. There is a kingdom that forever reigns. There is freedom from the chains that bind us. Jesus, Jesus, who walks on the waters, who speaks to the sea, who stands in the fire beside me. He roars like a lion, he bled as a lamb, he carried my healing in his hand. Jesus. There is a thing I call in times of trouble. There is a song that comforts in the night. There is a voice that calms a storm that rages. Jesus, Jesus, who walks on the water, who speaks to the sea, who stands in the fire beside me. He roars like a lion, he bled as a lamb, he carries my healing in his hand. Jesus. Messiah, my Savior, there is power in your name. You're my rock, you're my rock, my Redeemer. There is power in your name, in your name. You walk on the water, you speak to the sea, you stand in the fire beside me. You roar like a lion, you bled as a lamb, you carry my healing in your hand. God, you walk on waters, you speak to the sea, you stand in the fire beside me. You roar like a lion, you bled as a lamb, you carry my healing in your hand. Jesus, there is no one like you, Jesus. There is no one like you, Jesus. No one like Jesus. And our hope is only in Him. Not in what comes out of Washington or Austin or Houston or wherever you think that It's all because of the hope is found in who Christ alone. Let us say that just gracious Father and Savior, that's the only way we can come to you is in your power, not in our own strength. Speak your word this morning. Ask all these things in your holy name.
Hopefully you have a Bible this morning and you have it with you, or at least have one on a device that you can look at. So if you do, go ahead and grab that and turn it to the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 10 specifically. I will tell you, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more later. You were warned last week that we were going to go back to this passage of Scripture that we're going to go back to. So I think that makes, 3 weeks in a row that we'll hit on this passage of Scripture. But it's a very important, very crucial passage of Scripture that we're going to be looking at this morning. So Hebrews chapter 10 is where we're going to be at. While you're turning there, I want to tell you a story about a professor. Kind of, as I was reading through this story, it reminds me of my Baptist history professor when I was in seminary, because this professor wore a hat, and this hat's going to come into play in just a minute in this story, because Years ago at this university, I guess the president or whoever put in to act this policy that said if a professor was 10 minutes late, the class was officially canceled. So, I mean, any college student, or, at least for me when I was in college, I mean, like, I'm watching my phone, like, just hoping for the professor to be 10 minutes late so I can have an excuse to leave. Otherwise, I just had to come up with an excuse to leave, to not be there for class. I think I've told you all before I was a really bad college student, but we'll move on with that story. So anyway, this professor gets to his class early one day, and as is usually the case when you get somewhere early, I don't know if this happens to you, but he gets there early, he walks in, and he realizes, oh man, I forgot something. Right? That never happened to you before. I think it only happens when you get somewhere early. So he gets there early, he remembers, doggone it, I forgot something. And so he takes his hat off, he leaves it on the podium or whatever it is he has that he's going to lecture from, and he goes and runs back to his office. And of course, as again is always the case, you've got something, somewhere you need to be, somewhere important you need to be, you run across somebody, right? And you start having a conversation. So he starts having his conversation with this colleague of his, and he gets caught up in it because that's just what happens, right? And so about 20 minutes pass by, and what happens? The class gets canceled. And all the students, they're excited. They've been watching their watches, they've been watching the clock this whole time thinking, just one more minute, just one more minute. So they just bust loose. They run out of the classroom. Free class. Just as an aside, I had this professor one time, and I'll get back to the story, who was kind of not like this guy at all, he was just so nice and accommodating. He told us the very first class that we were at, he goes, we're not going to meet for 3 months. I realize you all have other classes that are more important than this one, and so don't worry about it. I'll post some stuff online, you read it, and we're good. My favorite class ever, political sociology. Who would have thought? So anyway, this professor gets back to the class, and it's a ghost town in there because he was 10 minutes late. And so the next time the class meets, this professor is just kind of furious with these students. He had been there. He was there, and that's what he begins to explain to them. He says, I was here. There was no excuse for you to leave. I left my hat here on the lectern. You shouldn't have left. If my hat is here, I'm here. And so he begins, he lectures, and so the next class meeting rolls around, and he walks into the classroom, and what you know, no one is there, but there's about 25 hats sitting in the class. While he's there, and he walks in. Man, that's the best laugh I've gotten ever. So, needless to say, his students learned their lesson. Maybe not quite the lesson that he had intended, but his intention was that they would stay if they had seen his hat there. But they took advantage of that, right? And we've heard similar things like that before. You see somebody you haven't seen for a long time at church. You maybe have even said this statement before, well, I was there in spirit. I wanted to be there. Now, hear me say that, and don't hear me say you need to be at church every single time the doors are open. I'm not trying to give you a guilt trip, because we all understand that life happens, right? Work happens. Health issues happen. You're going to miss church from time to time, but so often we kind of get that line to say, well, I was there in spirit. I wanted to be there. I'll go ahead and tell you this morning. I told you earlier that I haven't even looked at the Cypress heart. Here's why. Was up all night sick last night. Yay. Then I had a sickish 2-year-old up till about 11 o'clock last night. This is James Avery on steroid season, so Kelly's at work. So I'm there with Jack, just me and him. And so we're both up sick last night. And so I get up this morning, we're feeling a little bit better. I text Mark and I was like, look, I'm going to show up before church starts. Don't want to infect anybody. That's why I fist bumped people this morning, tried to stay to myself, all that good stuff. Don't want to be infecting anybody. So during invitation time, don't respond to the gospel, right? No, I promise I'm feeling better. But all that to say, so we get him ready. We get out the door, and I go to put him in the truck, and I look, and my rear passenger side tire is low. When I say low, I mean I got to go get new tires tomorrow. for it because something's wrong with it. It's almost worn out anyway. So I got to go get 2 new rear tires tomorrow. So get that aired up. All right, fun stuff. Get here, and I realized my preaching Bible, because all of us preachers have our preaching Bibles. My preaching Bible is not here. I usually